As promised, this week begins several long readings from the book of the Gospel of John. We have a short one first from the book of Exodus. The entire community of Israel traveled in stages out of the desert of Sin, just as the Eternal instructed. They camped at Rutherford, but there was no water there to quench their thirst. Once again, the people complained to Moses. The Israelites said, "Give us water to drink. We are thirsty." And Moses replied, "Why do you aim your complaints at me? Why are you testing the Eternal One?" But the people were so thirsty for water, they complained to Moses and leveled accusations against him. They said, "Why did you lead us out of Egypt? Was it to kill all of us, our children and livestock included, with this thirst?" Moses had had enough of their complaints, so he cried out to the Eternal One, "What am I supposed to do with these people and their relentless complaining? They are on the verge of stoning me." And God replied to Moses, "Here's what I want you to do. Go on ahead of the people and take some of the elders of Israel with you. Also, be sure to bring your shepherd's staff, the one with which you struck the Nile. I will be there when you arrive, standing at the rock of Horeb. I want you to strike the rock with your staff, and when you do, water will flow out of it so that everyone will have enough to drink." The elders of Israel accompanied Moses and watched as he did what the Eternal directed. And Moses named the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites complained and tested the Eternal, saying, "Is he standing with us or not?" And our gospel lesson is the story of the Samaritan woman at the well. In a small Samaritan town known as Sychar, Jesus and his entourage stopped to rest at the historic well that Jacob gave his son Joseph. It was about noon when Jesus found a spot to sit close to the well while the disciples ventured off to find provisions. From his vantage point, he watched as a Samaritan woman approached to draw some water. Unexpectedly, he spoke to her. Jesus said, "Would you draw water and give me a drink?" And the woman replied, "I cannot believe that you, a Jew, would associate with me, a Samaritan woman, much less ask me to give you a drink." Jews, you see, have no dealings with Samaritans. Also, a man never approaches a woman like this in public. Jesus is breaking accepted social barriers with this confrontation. Jesus replied, "You don't know the gift of God or who is asking you for a drink of this water from Jacob's well. But if you did, you would have asked him for something greater, and he would have given you the living water." The woman replied, "Sir, you sit by this deep well, a thirsty man, without a bucket in sight. Where does this living water come from? Are you claiming superiority to our father Jacob, who labored long and hard to dig and maintain this well, so that he could share clean water with his sons, grandchildren, and cattle?" Jesus replied, "Drink this water, and your thirst is quenched only for a moment. You must return to this well again and again. I offer you water that will become a wellspring within you that gives life throughout eternity. You will never be thirsty again. Please, sir, give me some of this water, so I'll never be thirsty and never again have to make the trip to this well." Jesus replied, "Then bring your husband to me." The woman answered, "I do not have a husband." Jesus replied, "Technically, you are telling the truth. But you have had 5 husbands and are currently living with a man you are not married to." The woman replied, "Sir, it is obvious to me that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped here on this mountain, But your people say that Jerusalem is the only place for all to worship. Which is it?" Jesus replied, "Woman, I tell you that neither is so. Believe this. A new day is coming. In fact, it's already here, when the importance will not be placed on the time and place of worship, but on the truthful hearts of the worshipers. You worship what you don't know, while we worship what we do know. For God's salvation is coming through the Jews. The Father is spirit, and he is seeking followers whose worship is sourced in truth and deeply spiritual as well. Regardless of whether you are in Jerusalem or on this mountain, if you do not seek the Father, then you do not worship." The woman replied, "These mysteries will be made clear by he who is promised, the Anointed One." And Jesus answered her, "The Anointed is speaking to you. I am the one you have been looking for." Then the disciples returned to him and gathered around him in amazement that he would openly break their customs by speaking to this woman. But none of them would ask him what he was looking for or why he was speaking with her. The woman went back to the town, leaving her water pot behind. She stopped men and women on the streets and told them about what had happened. "I met a stranger who knew everything about me. Come and see for yourselves. Can he be the Anointed One?" A crowd came out of the city and approached Jesus. During all of this, the disciples were urging Jesus to eat the food they gathered. Jesus replied to them, "I have food to eat that you know nothing about." And the disciples between themselves said, "Is it possible someone else has brought him food while we were away?" And Jesus said to them, "I receive my nourishment by serving the will of the Father who sent me and completing his work. You have heard others say, 'Be patient. We have 4 more months to wait until the crops are ready for the harvest.' But I say, take a closer look, and you will see that the fields are ripe and ready for the harvest. The harvester is collecting his pay, harvesting fruit ripe for eternal life. So even now, he and the sower are celebrating their fortune. The saying may be old, but it is true. One person sows and another reaps. I sent you to harvest where you have not labored. Someone else took the time to plant and cultivate, and you feast on the fruit of their labor." Meanwhile, because one woman shared with her neighbors how Jesus exposed her past and present, the village of Sychar was transformed. Many Samaritans heard and believed. The Samaritans approached Jesus and repeatedly invited him to stay with them. So he lingered there for 2 days on their account. With the words that came from his mouth, there were many more believing Samaritans. They began their faith journey because of the testimony of the woman beside the well. But when they heard for themselves, they were convinced. The one they were hearing was and is God's anointed, the liberating King sent to rescue the entire world. Here ends our reading of the Gospel.